Pain is not in your head. This is a new concept to you. I'm just going to do a short video just to see if this helps explain the mechanisms behind persistent pain. It may not, but that's okay. Maybe this isn't the right page for you. And if it is, if you're curious, if you want to know a little bit more and you're open-minded and flexible to change the way you think, change what you believe, change the way you react, change the way you breathe, change the way that your baseline emotional state is set at and probably fixed on. If you're open to that idea, then watch the video. Pain is never in your head. It's experienced within the body. Just let me explain the speed of that neural firing. 250 miles an hour, up to about 250 miles an hour, the body goes into a reaction that's based on sensation without becoming aware of the thought. So the person isn't thinking, oh, I'll have pain, or I'll have anxiety, or I'll start sweating, or I'll start lifting the hairs on the back of my neck because I've got fear, or I'll shut down the capillary outflow to my peripheral digits because there's a lion coming. That doesn't happen in conscious thought, right? Not involved at all. The reflex part of your brain, like the animal part, limbic system, emotional part, these parts are much faster, much more ancient, millions of years old. And if you're 50, you've got quite a young prefrontal cortex in relative terms, so which one's going to be the fastest? The unconscious part, right? It's controlling your heart rate, your breathing, the hair angle on your neck of the hairs, how fast the hair grows. Generally, we'd like our hair to grow longer on our head than our legs, and who decides that? Certainly not the thinking brain. It's doing it automatically and trillions of tasks. Faster than I can click my fingers, and there's probably 1 million neurons firing to click my fingers, and I don't know what order they're firing. So, is nervousness in my tummy on sports day in my head? Absolutely not. It's a feeling generated from a perception based on what that means to me. Now, if I haven't got that meaning and I feel nervous and I ask someone, what does this mean? I'll get a chance of two people. One person could say, that's excitement, son. That's what Dad's saying. You push through that line, do your best. I'll be at the end to reward you and clap my hands and rub you on the pat of the head, and you'll be accepted by the family from it. Or you could have somebody, alternatively, another dad or another mum, saying, oh, my tummy gets like that on sports day, son. I think it's IBS, it runs in the family. Or we have a jippy tummy. Now, the sensation is exactly the same. It's the meaning you give it that determines the model of which you'll follow when you experience that again. And if you're giving it from a person of authority, you pretty much believe them wholeheartedly. Blushing is not in my head. Sexual arousal is certainly not in my head. It starts there, but sometimes you're sexually aroused before you've even woke up and before you've even recognised some of the cues that's triggered it. And every human gets that if you're lucky. Breathing fast before a presentation, breathing slow before a football match or a game of hide and seek. The pupil size changes shape. Do you think you decide that? Your heart rate goes up when you run for a bus, but it stays running after you've run for a bus until it knows that the body's recovered from the running, because the brain thinks you're running from a lion. It's acting on animal instincts, not conscious thought. It uses the conscious focus to see if you can get meaning through your senses. Sweating, hair changes in angle, colour changes in the skin, flushing, blushing, sweating, muscular tension, digestive constriction or opening out, vasoconstriction or dilation, so the blood flows in your limbs or it doesn't. These are all automated reactions. The immune system switching on and the immune system switching off based on, am I being chased by a lion or not, am I safe? It's very binary. It's in one or the other. And these reactions are happening at millions of times a second. And if your brain has learned to fear the chair, or gripping your hand, or thinking about a certain person, or a memory, or an anticipation, all of those physical reactions happen on a conscious recollection, but you don't even have to start consciously recognizing the thought. The brain is so fast it'll remember the yellow taxi where you got beaten up in the alleyway 10 years ago. If you see the yellow taxi again out the corner of your eye, your heart rate will lift up and your hairs on the back of your neck will change shape. So the body makes associations through the brain, and the brain makes associations through the body that are felt sensations. If you come to fear the sensation, that is simply an illusion that the brain is giving you from a time it remembered fear or is expecting some more. You are amplifying the fear response to a fear response, and you'll get a bigger fear response. It's a round and round and round and round and round and round and round, and that is what traps people in persistent pain. It is not their fault. Quite often they've been told the wrong meaning for pain. They've been told the wrong meaning for sensation. They've been advised or modelled or encouraged or told to shut down how they feel without even having language to do it. They're given a look to do it. They're given a nod or a sideways shut down. It can actually shut people down with a look. You can do it with a dog easily. You can do it with a child easily. If you do it in that way and manipulate them, it's a wicked thing to do if you're doing it on purpose. But most of the time it's unconscious. When these patterns are in place, they become coping strategies for the child. When the child moves into life with these coping strategies that become traits, they start to get create environments that can keep playing out the role because it's just keeping them safe. But if trauma happens and they have no recollection of having these patterns, then not being able to access them again through trauma or injury is stressful. So the pain substitutes the stress that they normally get by giving them an equivalent amount that's through thoughts and feelings that creates a reaction that keeps them stuck in the stress response so they can't get out into the normal stress response. It's a paradox. The normal stress response is like finely balanced normally in this situation. So if there's an obvious trauma, we'd normally give somebody 6 weeks tissue healing, 6 weeks tissue conditioning, they get back to life. When you put boundaries around them, give them compassion and you care and you love them, and you explain what's happened, you understand, you validate their experience and listen to them, and sometimes say nothing, just be with them, breathe, tend to them, hear them repeat it a few times until it's expressed, then start to move again, go for a walk, revisit the areas in the mind where it happened, revisit the places it happened if that's appropriate, and get access to life again through that process of recovering from pain. And recovering from pain is painful. So if there wasn't a traumatic event, but there's a series of overload in life that comes from the person feeling responsible and feeling that they have to keep doing more than is humanly possible, they might think that the skin doesn't melt on the radiator. They might think they don't bleed if they're cut, but believe me, they do. And if they think these high pain thresholds that they almost wear like a badge are some sort of accreditation of being better than anybody else, actually they're just telling people I'm more than happy to be unkind to myself and more unkind than most people I know, so that I'll shut down how I feel to deliver some sort of service that gets me a badge that I can call a high pain threshold. It's a strength, but in this universe we have as a left, you can't have a left without a right, you can't have an up without a down, so it can't be a strength without a weakness. So if divorce appears, grief appears, a situation at work, frustrating relationship, or a breakdown, a dog dies, or the kids get expelled, or a collection of them one after the other without allowing a moment to come down, some time to come down, in the same way that you get from a physical tissue recovery, the nervous system stays in that state. And quite often it happens when our safe people or places become unsafe because they're not there anymore. A situation ends or the people die. And if you haven't developed a sense of safety internally ever, then that shift between only ever feeling safe with adrenaline and activity and drink, drugs, sex, shopping, gambling, working hard, pushing hard, watch what that behaviour sucks you into, and it'll be more of it. Until the nervous system sees that that's going to be too much, it is too much, we cannot possibly continue, and the pain appears to make that representation of protection of the nervous system to prevent the conscious intent of repeating it despite missing the warnings that have been there for days, weeks, months before, with a variety of signals in the body that a person's missed, not heard, ignored or misinterpreted from what I've described earlier. So it's not their fault. It is not in their head. It's an embodied reaction, like changing gear in the car. But if you go looking for the gear stick in an automatic car and you keep searching for the structure that your body's telling you is there unconsciously when it absolutely isn't, you will chase persistent pain all around your body. You will chase dozens of symptoms. You will find lots of people who join in the chase with you. They'll attempt to direct your attention to structures that are already showing signs of wear and tear and blame that. And I'm telling you that's not true. It is a truth, it's not absolute. You can keep all of the structures where you experience the pain. The pain is not in the structure, it is witnessed as within it. And if you can start to understand and embody a sense of safety, even without intellectually understanding it, and be consistent with it, and make it a habit, and make it a commitment to yourself to be different around the pain, be different around the times it appears, or the predictable times you know it's going to come, or if after it comes you can be different. Changing your thought patterns, changing your breathing, changing your physical reactions to your own reaction, and change the emotional state that follows pain or precedes it, you will find a change in that pain.